Big story tonight at 9. We have a jury. Opening statements will get underway tomorrow for the man accused of killing and dismembering Sade Robinson.
Today, it was an all-day process, but now a jury has been seated. 12 women and 3 men were selected to hear the case. It came out of a pool of 40. Tonight, Fox 6's Bria Jones has more on what happened today in court.
Yeah, and she joins us here in studio after talking with the attorney for Sade Robinson to state it's an interview you will only see here on Fox 6.
Ben and Kim, 15 jurors were chosen, 3 of them alternates from a pool of 40. The prosecution and defense, they asked a range of questions from will you struggle to stay off social media for 2 weeks to do you believe DNA is a strong piece of evidence. Tonight, Sade Robinson's family attorney is weighing in. On day 1 of his trial, 34-year-old Maxwell Anderson donned a new look, appearing in court freshly shaven with a short haircut. Much different from how he looked when prosecutors say he killed and dismembered 19-year-old Sade Robinson after a first date in April 2024. Robinson's body parts would later appear from Milwaukee County to Waukegan, Illinois.
The hope is that you see a young innocent man versus the criminal that you see in the photo.
Verona Swanigan represents Robinson's estate. She was in Judge Laura Crivello's courtroom Tuesday as a jury was selected. 12 women, 3 men.
I marked off what I thought the prosecution would do. I marked off what I thought the defense would do, and we came out pretty much equal.
Potential jurors were given this questionnaire to help weed down the pool. Then the judge, defense, and prosecution asked more questions.
If you're ever charged with a crime or you're ever a victim of a crime, you will truly understand how important it is to have fair and impartial jurors listen to the evidence and apply facts to law.
They were also asked what they knew about the case, whether they could handle graphic evidence, and knowledge of Milwaukee County. Swanigan says both sides were able to talk directly with the jury and begin to make their cases.
I think the defense laid out that their position is going to be that it wasn't him, that this is a wrong place, wrong time incident, and that he didn't have anything to do with it. Now, will that work? I don't believe so.
Anderson's parents were in the courtroom as well as Robinson's. Swanigan says the trial is already taking a toll.
When your child is deceased, that's like getting punched in the stomach repeatedly and then being told don't cry about it.
The jury was told they could not discuss this case with anyone and they must stay away from social media until the trial is over, but they will not be sequestered. Court starts tomorrow at 8:45 a.m.
Now, Bria, again, you mentioned that Robinson's family was in the courtroom. Tell me a little bit of what you saw.
Her mother, Sheena Scarborough, her grandmother, her uncle, as well as her father, they were all in the courtroom. And what stood out to me was that at some points her mother, she struggled to walk when she would get up to go to the bathroom, to the point where it seemed, I believe, a member of law enforcement that had been working on the case, they were helping her get in and out of the courtroom. And
you can hear an attorney talking about the toll it's taken. Maxwell Anderson, there's people in the courtroom for him as well.
Yes, his father was there all day. Both of his parents were there from other reporters I learned earlier in the morning. But again, his father staying there until that jury was selected, as well as it seemed another family member sitting a little bit away from Dad, but on that front row right behind him.
Okay, Bria Jones, I know you're covering this case, and we'll have more updates from you tomorrow, the first day of opening arguments. Thanks.
You're welcome.
And we saw strangers, complete strangers, there in the courtroom today. They were there to support the Robinson family.
I wanted to show the family support from a stranger, and just so they knew your community does support you, what you're going through. I lost my own daughter, not that way, but I understand how she feels.
The memorial for Sade Robinson on the east side, that is growing tonight. This is at the Pizza Shuttle near Farwell and Kane. That is where Sade worked. And you could see the main color in it all is pink, which was her favorite color. Flowers and stuffed animals line the mural, a show of support from the community.
It's day 2 of the Maxwell Anderson trial. He's accused of killing and dismembering 19-year-old Sade Robinson after a first date in April of 2024.
Today, both the prosecution and defense delivered opening statements, preparing to make their cases to the jury.
And then Maxwell Anderson attempted to make her disappear from this world by discarding her body into body parts into Lake Michigan, and then taking her car and burning it behind an abandoned building.
It's horrible what happened to Sade. It's horrible. Nobody deserved that. And what the state wants you to do is use the emotion of that, along with this phrase like common sense, and use that emotion to convict Mr. Anderson.
Fox 6's Bria Jones is here in the studio. Bria, new evidence was shown in the courtroom today.
That's right, Kim and Ben. From body camera and surveillance video of Waterman Park to cell phone records, the prosecution started to share the timeline of how they believe Maxwell Anderson killed Sade Robinson. As the defense argued, grainy video and cell phone records from only one phone aren't enough to prove Anderson is guilty.
That's Sade coming off the elevator.
Emotional testimony on day 2 of Maxwell Anderson's trial for the murder and mutilation of 19-year-old Sade Robinson. Robinson's former leasing agent took the stand.
This is obviously very hard for you, Ms. Shuda, right?
It is.
This clear surveillance image shows Robinson leaving her Brewers Hill apartment building on April 1st, 2024. She would never return. The next day, her severed leg washed ashore at Waterman Park, found by Osiris Terrell and a friend.
We were walking down there, and there was a severed leg.
In court, prosecutors showed never-before-seen body camera video from that rainy day in Waterman Park. Prosecutors also presented video of what investigators say is Maxwell Anderson on a bluff more than 13 hours prior. The silhouette was seen near Lake Michigan for over an hour, from around 3 a.m. to 4:15.
Grainy images.
Yes.
Going in the tree line area.
Correct.
Which doesn't show us really anything other than some human figure going up and down in that area, right?
Yes.
You can't make out even that the person has a body part that they've discarded, can you?
That's correct. I can't determine that.
Detectives also brought forth pieces of what are said to be Robinson's vehicle found at Waterman Park. Last on the stand today, Robinson's former pizza shuttle manager, who detailed the day Robinson didn't show up for work, prompting her to worry and report her missing to police.
When I messaged her, I said, please just text me and let me know you're okay, because she doesn't have to come to work. She doesn't have to answer her phone. But I just wanted her to let me know that she was okay, and I knew she would if she could. And when she didn't, I got very scared.
Bria, talk a little bit more about some of the testimony and what you saw and heard.
I thought what was interesting from Young's testimony was that the last thing that she said on the record was that after she contacted police about Sade being missing, she was informed that they had been in contact with her, only to later find out that there was some sort of miscommunication and they had never contacted her.
Wow, interesting. The first that we're hearing that.
Yeah, we're seeing all that new video today, too. That stuck out with me. Bria, thanks. Appreciate it. Today, we also learned the discovery of the leg came about 12 hours after the now retired Cudahy Water Utility Superintendent got a call from a contractor. It was about the gate that leads down to the lake.
The gate had been hit really hard. It's a large industrial fence gate. The post that it was in had been moved, and there were plastic car parts like you would see from the front of a car that had a collision laying around on the pavement.
After the discovery, police were called, adding a new element to the investigation.
New witness testimony, surveillance videos, and body camera on day 3 of Maxwell Anderson's homicide trial.
It has been a fascinating day. Anderson's accused of killing 19-year-old Sade Robinson and setting her car on fire. Fox 6's Bria Jones is here with a look at how the prosecution, Bria, is building its case by now retracing Sade's last moments and how her car was set on fire.
That's right, Ben and Mary. The car is what sounded the alarm on Sade Robinson's missing persons case. Now, the car was found torched near 30th and Lisbon, and later that day, her severed leg was found at Waterman Park. Today, the jury was presented with new video evidence. A black puffy jacket, underwear and ripped jeans inside out, and a pair of partially charred shoes. These are remnants of Sade Robinson's outfit. Investigators say were recovered from the trunk of her torched car the morning after her date with Maxwell Anderson.
Is there anything upon looking at that strikes you as unusual?
I think looking at how these were recovered, it could be consistent with somebody assisting in the removal.
Were there any identifiers for Maxwell Anderson in that car?
No.
Any ID cards or anything like that?
No.
Super weird because that engine still looks like it's in pristine condition.
New body camera from the morning of April 2nd, 2024 shows officers responding to the car fire near 30th and Lisbon. They snapped photos of the scene and canvassed the area for surveillance video.
He did that.
Prosecutors say videos show Maxwell Anderson walking away after setting the car on fire.
And a witness statement was reported that they had seen an individual walking away from the 2020 Honda Civic after throwing what the witness claimed appeared to be a lit lighter into the driver window.
Before that, they say Anderson seen on surveillance camera driving Robinson's vehicle in the area near a Galena playground where some of her human remains were located.
This right here is going to be a bridge that goes over the train tracks, and then the playground is located directly on the other side of that, just to the south.
That playground in that area, would you later be involved in recovering human remains from there?
Yes, I was.
We also heard testimony that the driver's seat appeared to be too far back for Robinson at the time of the fire. They showed these photos of an experiment, comparing the height of two deputies who are about the same height as Anderson and Robinson. Now, based on the damage to the vehicle, investigators believe that the fire started in the passenger compartment.
Yeah, there was just so much focus today on the car, I thought.
Certainly the seat, the posturing there. What did the defense say about that?
Yeah, that was honestly after the lunch, a little before the lunch break and right after. That was the entirety of the rest of the day talking about this car fire. The defense, when the lead detectives showed the pictures of those two detectives, they actually went out to Waukesha County to a car dealership for this experiment. But the defense, Tony Cotton, his response was, did you test anybody other than the heights of Maxwell Anderson and Sade Robinson, to which they said they did not.
Interesting testimony, Bria. Thanks. The detective said a detective said they also found marijuana and pills in a locked safe in Robinson's apartment. The pills field tested positive for methamphetamines, but they weren't sent to the crime lab. The judge allowed that evidence in. The defense tried to use that to point to someone else could be responsible for Robinson's death, but it's worth noting no drugs were found in Robinson's system. The Robinson family's attorneys responding to the defense's argument tonight, saying, quote, this is not a case about drugs. The police testified that the drugs were irrelevant, that the murder was not in any way associated to drugs. The investigation flushed out it was not related to drugs, and to bring up drugs that have never been tested, so we don't even know if they were actually drugs. It is highly prejudicial to the victim, and it's a red herring to the jury.
Did you locate anything else?
So close to the blanket, I located a small piece of what appeared to be flesh. I also located a small piece of what appeared to be bone.
Day 4 of the trial of Maxwell Anderson accused in the murder of Sade Robinson. Today, prosecutors used surveillance images to tell the story of Maxwell Anderson's alleged whereabouts after Robinson's car was torched.
Bria Jones was in the courtroom and joins us now with a look at the big moments playing out in the courtroom.
Good evening, Kim and Sam. There is a lot to unpack from inside the courtroom. Day 4 focused on tracing Sade Robinson's car until it was set on fire near 30th and Lisbon. Investigators discussed the body parts found near the arson scene, but it was new surveillance video that had everyone intently looking. Take a look. Prosecutors say this is Maxwell Anderson getting on a bus near 35th and Lisbon. He pays and takes a seat on the bus heading southbound towards his home. Another camera angle from a different bus shows a person wearing the same clothing walking away from the car fire. That's the same location where Sade Robinson's car was found torched. Prosecutors noting the person wearing the same dark colored clothing and backpack captured on multiple surveillance cameras. They say the suspect is Maxwell Anderson.
Do you see that person in court today?
I do. He's seated at the defense counsel's table wearing a blue button-up shirt with a white t-shirt underneath it.
Any objection?
I'm not going to comment on that.
And toward the end of the day, we heard an outburst from Sade's mother that included a warning from the judge later.
Yes, Sam, that's right. We kind of moved away from the car fire, away from this MCTS bus video. We were then shown some images from when Sade's body parts were discovered in South Milwaukee, her torso and her arm, just very graphic. It was hard for me to even watch, so I can't even imagine. Her father literally, he got up, he left the courtroom before that even happened because he knew it was coming. And her mother, at the very end, that's when she had an outburst walking over towards Maxwell Anderson near the courtroom. Of course, we're all in the gallery, so there's the glass barrier, but you could very clearly hear her with an outburst, which prompted the judge, Judge Crivello, to warn the family, warn people in the gallery just to say, hey, no more outbursts. We don't need anything, going into what the jury may ultimately decide here.
And so again, setting the rules for next week, as it, because from here it just gets more and more graphic with the testimony.
Yeah, another rule, she said, also, don't wear pink. That was another rule in the courtroom.
As we know, that was Sade Robinson's favorite color. Thank you, Bria Jones.